Warning: contains somewhat mature content, including language, brief violence, and mild sexual themes, and may not be suitable for people under age 14.
I frowned. "I'm sorry," I said softly. "I really hate my parents. I wish that it had been my father to die instead of yours."
Rain nodded. "It's all right, though. I dedicated a little shrine to him in an unused room. Mom and I go in there to visit with him. Even though I don't believe there's a heaven, I believe somehow my dad can still hear me when I speak to him. Whether he can or not, it makes me feel better to talk to his picture."
He went silent, then looked at me.
"I told him all about you, Cole. I hope he accepts you wherever he is."
I smiled and nodded. "I'm sure he does, Rain," I said. "That's cool, though. You could play the guitar at 4?" Rain nodded.
"Younger," he said. "And now I'm really good. I write songs about my feelings and I sing them in my room. Sometimes I record them on my laptop. I even wrote one about you."
I blinked. "You did? Can I hear it?" Rain laughed and shook his head.
"Not now. I need my guitar. Someday, though."
We probably walked through every hall in the school before the bell rang. We walked to English together and sat down. Rain and I talked together before the tardy bell rang, and we both got distracted by Nate, Adrian, and Samantha. "How could you do this to me?" Nate asked, looking angry and upset. The twins sat back and looked very bored. "Are you telling me that what happened at the party meant nothing to you?" "What does it matter?" asked Samantha. "You've been with every girl in the school for like a day each. You're used to using them, so aren't you used to being used?" Nate trembled. "But I actually have feelings for you, Samantha. Real feelings," Nate exclaimed. He looked like he was about to cry. "Next time, think twice before using my poor sister," said Samantha, hugging Adrian. It was well known throughout the school that Nate had dated Adrian for a few days, got her pregnant, then left her. It wouldn't have sickened me as much if she had given birth to the baby and gave it up for adoption, but unfortunately she decided to kill it. "Samantha, please, this is torture," said Nate. Just then the bell rang and Mr. Lin told everyone to get back in their seats. Mr. Lin began talking about a poster project that we were going to start today. It was supposed to be a poster comparing naturalism and realism, two things I knew nothing about since I had been absent. "This will be a partner project, so please pick your partners now before I pick them for you. You have 3 seconds," said Mr. Lin. He always did stuff like this, giving us 3 seconds to rush around the room and grab the person we wanted to work with. Rain had grabbed my shoulders tightly right when everyone else shot out of their desks, tackling each other. Once everyone had a partner, he told us to sit down and began handing out sheets that told us the requirements of the poster.
"This is perfect," said Rain. "This will give us a chance to hang out after school. Should we go to my house?"
I turned and shook my head. "It's okay to go to my house because both my parents will be gone until like 5:30 or 6 o'clock. Mom has errands to run." Rain smiled and nodded.
"All right, I'll ride the bus with you home then,"
he said, and he began reading the sheet. I turned around back to my desk and read the sheet as well. After English I went to study skills to work on more absent work, which made the period go by much quicker. The last bell rang before I knew it, and I shot out of the room to meet Rain. We got on the bus together and headed to my house. We went into my house just as Mom was getting ready to leave. She blinked at us. "Who's this, Cole?" she asked, pointing at Rain. My heart pounded hard from fear. "Mom, this is Rain," I said. "We were assigned partners in English today, to work on a poster. Do you have any giant pieces of paper?" Mom watched Rain and scanned him. I bit my lip with worry. Rain was wearing makeup today. "Yeah, in my cabinet," she said, grabbing her purse. "I'll see you around dinner time, Cole." I smiled weakly, relieved, waving to her. Once she left, I sighed. "Glad that's over," I said. "My room is over there. Wait for me while I go get paper and markers." Rain smiled and nodded. "Go into my room." I went into Mom's room and into her cabinet that was next to her desk. I got the paper and some markers and was about to leave when I saw a Bible on her desk. I picked it up and turned to the page where it told about homosexuality being a sin. I cursed it and tossed it back onto the desk, going to my room. I walked in and closed the door, seeing Rain looking at my books. He looked at me and smiled.
"You have good taste in literature," he said.
I smiled weakly. "Thanks, my parents don't think so." I sat on the floor and spread out the paper, and laid out the markers. Rain joined me and took his notes out of his backpack.
Let's just do a T-chart to make this easier,
he said, taking a purple marker and drawing one on the paper. On one side he put naturalism, and on the other, realism. He placed his notes in between us.
Do you mind filling out the realism side? Everything you need to put is right here.
I nodded and took a blue marker, filling it out. Rain used a red marker for his side. Are we going to be tested on this stuff? I asked. Rain laughed.
Probably. You sure do like blue, don't you?
I blushed and nodded. It's my favorite color, I replied. What's yours? Rain picked up a black marker, a red marker, and a hot pink marker.
These colors,
he said.
They go best with one another. I like black because it's dark and mysterious. Red because it's passionate, romantic, and powerful. And the girl in me likes the pink.
He laughed, and so did I. Aw, that's kind of cute, I said. But I think I'm the girl in this relationship. Rain smirked.
I agree, but why don't you tell me why you think that?
He said. I blushed and put the cap on my blue marker. Well, I began, I'm shy, I'm submissive, and I'm very short compared to you. Rain smiled and chuckled.
Ding, 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 correct. You win the grand prize,
he said suddenly. I blinked and smiled. What's the grand prize? I asked. Rain smiled and moved closer to me, kissing me again, but briefly. After he broke it, he smiled at me.
Since your parents won't be home for a while,
he said softly,
we don't have to worry about any interruptions.
I blushed, heart pounding again. I grabbed his shirt gently without even realizing it. He smirked and looked down at my hand.
You want it off?
He asked. I gasped slightly and let go, very embarrassed now. Rain chuckled and took his shirt off, tossing it across the room. I stared at his chest and was very jealous. How did you get like that? I asked, putting my hand on his muscles. Rain shrugged.
Well, I didn't really work out a lot. I just helped my mom with heavy things since I was the only man left in the house,
he replied. He began unbuttoning my shirt, but I stopped him. Rain frowned. I don't think you'll like it, I said, looking off to the side. Rain smiled.
Nonsense,
he said.
I've already seen your chest. Are you jealous that I have muscles and you don't?
I nodded, feeling ashamed. Rain sighed and unbuttoned my shirt anyway, taking it off me and tossing it over to join his. He caressed my chest gently, which was very scrawny, as was my stomach. There was not a muscle to be seen. Why don't you have a problem with it? I asked. Rain smiled.
Because I like it better this way,
he said.
You're the cute one, Cole. I like you this way, and please don't ever change. It's like guys who only date girls for big breasts. It's ridiculous.
I smiled and put my hands on his arms, feeling the muscles there. It's unbelievable, I said. He laughed and laid me down again, laying right on top of me. I couldn't help but get excited like I did the last few times he was on top of me, and suddenly I felt he was excited as well. It made me think about how different it was to when Natalie was trying to turn me on. So that was that then. I was for sure homosexual, and there was nothing I could do but love Rain and no one else. Rain kissed my neck gently, putting his hands on my hips. He didn't go any lower, and I knew it was to make sure I wasn't uncomfortable. He stopped kissing my neck and kissed the corner of my lips gently. I had my eyes closed, really enjoying the attention. I wrapped my arms around him gently and caught his lips, actually making him jump with surprise. I felt his lips curl into a smile as he kissed back. Suddenly my door opened, and I heard Mom scream. Rain jumped and got off of me, and I sat up, seeing her in my door. "Mom," I said, terrified. "What are you doing home so early?" Mom glared at me and Rain, looking furious. "I finished my errands early. What the hell were you two doing?" she screamed. I flinched, feeling like I was going to start crying. "Nothing, Mom," I said, but I knew she wouldn't believe me. She saw enough to know what was going on. "I'm calling the police," she said, and ran to the kitchen. I looked at Rain, shaking with fear, tears coming to my eyes. Rain furrowed his brow.
"Not while I'm around,"
he muttered. He grabbed his and my shirt, rolling them into a ball. Then he grabbed our backpacks and put the shirts and his notes in his.
"Grab your important things, we're leaving,"
he said to me. I trembled, then grabbed my journal, box of shells, and an old teddy bear that was under my bed. I looked at Sandwich and her kittens. "Rain, my cats!" I said, worried. Rain nodded and put his backpack on, grabbing Sandwich and 4 of the kittens. I grabbed the other 3 kittens, and Rain pulled me out of the house as quick as he could. Luckily, Mom didn't see us leave, but she'd find out soon enough. We ran as fast as we could out of sight of my house. Rain stopped and panted, the poor kittens in his arms mewing, terrified. Rain soothed the cats as he took out an ice-pink cell phone, dialing quickly.
"Mom,"
he said.
"I need you to pick me and my boyfriend up, please." Yeah, his mom found out. "Thanks, please hurry."
He quickly told her where we were, and then hung up. "Rain," I said softly. "I'm so sorry. I had no idea this would happen." Rain shook his head.
"In no way do I blame you, Cole. I blame your mother. She's acting like a maniac,"
he said. In a very short time, a slate-colored car drove up to us. I saw inside a woman with pretty black hair. I noticed where Rain got his good looks from. Rain opened the back door for me, and I got in, taking the cats in with me. Rain got in the front, and Rain's mom drove us away as fast as she could. While we were driving, I felt tears run down my cheeks, and I closed my eyes. "Ah, sweetie," said Rain's mother suddenly. I opened my eyes and saw she was looking at me through the rearview mirror. "Please don't cry. Everything will be all right." I nodded and wiped my tears. "My name is Victoria, but you can call me Vicky if you want to. You're Cole, right?" I nodded silently, sniffing.
"Don't worry, Cole. My mom knows all about us," said Rain. "No matter what, I'll protect you, okay?"
I blinked, looking to Rain and remembering my dream. I smiled. No matter what?" I said. Rain smiled wide.
"No matter what."
Victoria smiled at me. "You can stay at our house for as long as you like, Cole," she said. Suddenly, something came to my realization. "Rain, we can't go back to school," I said. Rain frowned.
"You're right. Your parents can find you there. Mama, what do we do?"
he asked Victoria, who sighed. "I'll find another school in the area for you two to go to until you graduate," she said. "It's the only thing we can do." Rain nodded and watched me. He reached over and grabbed my hand, holding it to assure me it was going to be okay. Finally, Victoria pulled the car into a driveway in front of a blue house. It was a fairly big house, much bigger than mine. We went in, carrying Sandwich and her kittens, as well as our backpacks. Victoria looked at the cats. "I'm gonna have to go cat food and toy shopping," she said, smiling. Rain laughed.
"Mom's a huge animal lover, just like me,"
he said. He led me to his room, and we set the cats down. Sandwich began cleaning her babies, obviously mad at Rain and me for being so careless with them. Rain shut his door and slumped on his bed, which was huge. The blankets were black with red lace. I looked around and noticed his walls were black too, but they weren't depressing because he had painted little red cats and pink music notes all over the place. He noticed me looking around.
"I have blue paint,"
he said.
"Want to paint stuff on my wall?"
I laughed. "I'm not that artistic except when it comes to writing," I informed him. Rain looked at my backpack, then got up and dug inside it, pulling out my box. He opened it and examined a cowrie shell I had.
"What's all this?"
he asked. I blushed and looked at the floor. "My shell collection," I muttered. Rain smiled.
"Paint blue shells on my wall,"
he said, setting the box on his nightstand and closing it. He pointed to a box in the corner, which held an assortment of paint supplies. I went over and took out a few paintbrushes and a bottle of blue acrylic paint. Rain grabbed his guitar and started playing a soft little tune that I liked a lot, though I recognized it from somewhere. As I was painting shells on the wall, I listened, then finally asked what song it was.
"It's called The New by Interpol. Why, do you recognize it?"
said Rain. I nodded, smiling. "I've heard it on the radio a couple times," I replied. "You play it very well." Rain smiled. He began singing the song to me as he played it on his guitar.
"I wish I could live free, I hope it's not beyond me. Settling down, it takes time. One day we'll live together and life will be better. I have it here, yeah, in my mind. Baby, you know someday you'll slow grow. And baby, my heart's been breaking. I gave a lot to you. I take a lot from you too. You slave a lot for me. Guess you could say I gave you my edge.